It's not been an easy week, and I'm sure that everyone who has traded in this week has faced this difficulty. So, this week was a little tough. I'll be frank about it. I did have kind of rough step. Since this is a trade review, guys, we'll jump directly into the trades. So, my first trade, right? My first trade of this week, I took it on 14th April. So my first trade was on 14th April. That was Tuesday. Monday, I did not trade anything because I didn't get any entries in the market. So we skipped on Monday. So Tuesday was my first trade, and Tuesday's trade for me went as the following. So basically, right? So basically, I entered in the first macro, that is around 10 a.m. And if you guys had been seeing the markets, right? The Tuesday's market was going for the all-time high. I mean, this entire week was going for all-time high. So maximum number of trades that I have taken this week up by. But getting into the actual trade, so when the market started at 9:30, right? Market had quite a moment where it was self-balancing most parts. So I waited around until I got the first presented, and once I got that, we moved up. And after the market, right, had taken the buy side liquidity I marked, I noticed that it was not going for the ORG gap. And from the first presented fair value gap, I entered exactly right over there, and I got a clean 1:2 trade. It actually went for more than 1:2. It actually went for somewhere around 1:4. But I take only 1:2, and I was quite happy with that. Now, going on to my second trade of this week, right, was on 16th April. I didn't trade on Wednesday because I didn't get any entries on the Wednesday's market. Wednesday's market was quite linear. It went directly for the ATH as well, but there were no specific points of entry. And it did follow my continuation model, but for me to enter, I need a specific point of entry, right? And I didn't get any place to enter. So Wednesday was a skip for me. Thursday's trade was, I made quite a mistake on Thursday's trade, but it is what it is. So basically on Thursday, right, when the market opened, initially, it had quite a choppy session until somewhere around 9:45. So for the first 15 minutes, it was quite very choppy. And if you guys had noticed, then it broke down, and it completely took the sell side liquidity as well as the ORG gap. And I actually entered somewhere around 10:15, where the end dog, right? Where the end dog of the day was broken. So once the end dog broke, I entered right over there. The trade did give me a 1:1, but unfortunately, it inverted and started pushing upwards. Since it was in the ATH, and that was actually the correct thing, I should have noticed, but I was slightly blindsided on that, and I went for the sell side, hoping for a retracement. And the retracement did come, but it did not. It did not go as long as I wanted or I expected it to go. And automatically, it inverted and it took my stop. So that's my Tuesday's trade. The next trade, right, that I took. I mean, that's my Thursday's trade. The next trade that I took was on Friday. So my Friday's trade, it was a correct trade. It was absolutely a correct trade, my Friday's trade. So for my Friday's trade, right, the market initially was quite jumpy as well on Friday, but I waited around, and I did finally get a trade. The market opened at 9:30. It initially went down a bit. You could have seen that the candles were actually self-balancing as well on Friday. So it went down a bit to the 25% of ORG, tapped there, and then it just started jumping back. And once the first percentage was formed, right, I waited around, and the market initially moved up. The thing is that after the first percentage broke and went quite a little above, I entered there. And I think that was my huge mistake on Friday's trade, because I should have I should have waited and entered at the retracement. But I was in such a hurry on that day where my psychology wasn't the best. So I entered quite high. I entered quite at an premium price, and that was the reason that I had to face a loss on Saturday's, I mean Friday's market. So what I'm trying to say is that I entered somewhere around 1050, 1055, right? Yeah. So I entered at the most premium price available, and my SL was too short. So my SL was too short, and I had to place it here. And once the market initially moved up, right, I was able to take some partials, but when I waited around for the next movement, the a huge movement down in the MNQ chart happened, which did not happen in the NQ chart, and that actually took my SL where the I lost more than the partials I took. So I took quite an amount of partials, but the loss was so huge that even the partial amount that I took got cancelled and it went for an extra amount of loss. Things like this have been happening over this past week where MNQ and NQ candles are not matching, but it is what it is. There's nothing I can do about it right now. So, if I'm being honest, I'm back to break even. I'm back to my starting size of the account. So before I go for another payout, I'll just have to do all this stuff again. But that's fine. Right now, if you guys have noticed that we are in the ATH, and for me, that even though I have a continuation model and stuff, and this trade, my Friday's trade worked out pretty well actually. It did go hit the buy side liquidity as I marked. I'm happy about that. I mean, the trade went sideways, that's on me. But my analysis, my precision, and all those stuff were correct. I mean, this is one account. I hit my SL. I hit my stop right in one account. The other account, I was able to get a DB because I got in at quite a discounted price. So that's one thing. But the main account, I was not able to secure a profit. Regardless, there's always next week. We can make it next week. That's not going to be a huge problem. We are right now in the all-time high. So what I would suggest is that trade carefully. There are going to be a lot of manipulations because we have the war ongoing. And if you guys have noticed that in the previous market sessions, right, there have been times, specifically time zones, such as 11 for I mean 10:40, and then you have in this 10 a.m. macro 9:40, somewhere around these time zones, right? You can see that the candles produced are too huge, and something is happening there. Once these candles are produced, then you guys have the news actually being released. So this seems to be a sort of insider trading, but I would say that just be careful of these kinds of stuff because this is where all of our stops are probably going to be hit. If you guys can go past that, I'm sure you guys would make somewhere around at least a 1:2 trade. Besides from all this, let's hope that we have a good next week as well. Right now we are at the all-time high, so there's really nothing much to expect. Either the market is going to move up or go down. And right now it seems like the usual pattern, the political pattern that's been going on for a while now, it's occurring again. You have Monday where the oil price shoots up, and you have Friday where the oil price shoots down. So it's going in the same cycle and cycle if you guys have been noticing. But apart from these geopolitical and political stuff, I think we need to be careful until this war is over. So tread carefully around the markets. It's going to be it's going to get rough if I'm not wrong. I will see you guys again on Wednesday. Let's see how the next week plays out. I'll see you guys again on Wednesday.